Hey folks, Jeremy from Follow Me Leadership, and want to talk to you today real quick about a question that comes up a lot with different managers in all different industries, different types of workplaces, whether they're an office environment or out in the field. And this revolves around a question of how do I get more out of my people? I hear this a lot. I heard it, from people that I knew that were in managerial positions. I heard it in meetings with my peers as we, debated on how to work with our subordinates. It's a common question today that I think is common in every industry, but it's a difficult one to answer because there's a lot we need to know before we can even answer that. First and foremost, you have to identify what are you intending to fix? Is there a problem, or what is it you're not getting? When you say you want to get more out of them, exactly what does that mean? Um, is it more production output? Is it more sales? Is it more drive, more enthusiasm? What is it that once you identify those key factors and what you're not seeing out of your people, then I think you're prepared to start addressing, the different issues. First and foremost, we got to look at this from a perspective of mindset. Are they in the right frame of mind to work for you? If not, how do we fix that? Are they not motivated in their jobs? Do they hate their jobs? Are they just going through the motions? Do you feel that your people are just doing enough to get by? What is it exactly about their mindset that's not right? You really need to drill down and identify that before you can, pressure your people to do more. Any leader, any person in a position of charge can tell their subordinates, you need to do more. But that rarely works out well. You really need to get to the root of the issues of what you're not seeing and try to figure out better ways to motivate your people. And you got to, change their motivation to fit the needs of your mission. Um, the other thing to do is think about, do you have the right mindset for this? Maybe you're not leading them or managing them properly. Mindset begins first within you. I think once you develop your own mindset and you have a clear mission, clear set of goals and values that you want to work with, now you can start to go reach out to your people and talk about motivating them and what's important. Do they have the right mindset? Maybe they never did to begin with. Maybe they weren't the right person for the job, but for some reason you thought they were right, and otherwise you wouldn't have hired them. But if they're not in the right mindset right now, how do we pull them out of that hole? And then if negativity is really what's leading the group, if you will, leading the pack, then how do we change things to make it more positive? And a lot of times that's can be fixed with simple communication. Just like in a relationship, when you have problems, typically the root of the problem is lack of or poor communication. So start there, having dialogues one on one, not just an email or a conference call. Reach out to your people, go meet with them, take them to lunch. Sit down with somebody and say, hey, I'm not particularly happy with how things are going right now in general. What do you think is the problem? How do we fix things? Because I'm looking to try to do some things differently because we need to improve, we need more, we need whatever it is. So the second area that I think is important is your training investment. Have you trained your people correctly? I think that all too often we, send new employees to a new training session, new employee training, if you will, and they'll go there. Maybe it's 4 weeks, maybe it's 2 months, maybe it's cut up into several sections over time. Um, but the problem is they're going through emotion. They get to the end of it and you kind of hand out a certificate. You've checked the block and said, okay, you are now trained. We're going to throw you out there to the wolves. We expect great things from you. That's not training. Training has to be, it's got to be designed, focused on the mission and what you're trying to achieve out of these people. It has to have a solid plan. It has to be realistic. There's just so many problems. We'll go into more on actual training setup and all that another time. But I'm trying to illustrate the point that I think sometimes, we send new employees to a training session and just assume that when they come back, oh, they're ready to go now. They should be just as good as somebody who's been around for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. The other thing is, do you continue to train them? Continuous training is just absolutely as important, if not more, than the initial training investment. Uh, you know, I look at it this way. In the Army, we sent our soldiers through basic training. It was, I don't know, 2 months maybe. When they got home or back to their unit, you know, they constantly had training. Every week you were training on something else. Sometimes it might be, hey, we got 2 hours to kill while we're waiting on buses to show up or whatever. And you know what? Let's fill some of that time and do something positive or effective with the time. Now, as a soldier, sure, sometimes you hate that. You want your free time. But my point is, in the corporate world, you know, how many times do we have meetings, conference calls, stuff like the webinars and whatnot, and we're spending a lot of time just putting information out because everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. You know, on a weekly conference call, just take 10, 15 minutes, put out the imperative information that you know, upper management wants us to put out, and then spend the rest of the time, pick a topic of the week and, you know, blast something out on that. And just, you know, whether it's, we're going to talk about cold calling today, or I'm going to talk about preparing for a demonstration, or how to have effective communication skills, something, you know, anything. You can pick something small, minute, but you should constantly be doing some level of training. The other thing with the training is, don't just present something to the team or your group of subordinates and say, all right, I'm going to train you on this right now, and then do that, and then next week we're going to do something else, something after that. You know, I think you can start it off, but you know, nothing's better than, you know, this kind of small unit mentality when it comes to a team of, you know, 8 people, 15 people, 20 people, or whatever. Maybe if you're doing a conference call or a meeting every week, you know, for an hour, pick somebody new every time. Say, hey, you got 30 minutes. Here's a list of topics. Pick something, you know, let's present to the group and make it discussion based, you know, practical, hands-on training, whatever it is. Pick something and let's go. Because, you know, when you change around the presenter, you change the perspectives on everything. Plus, it breaks up the monotony of it. And frankly, you as a leader may not be a great presenter anyway. So don't be too proud to think that you always have to be the person out there. Plus, it'll make your life a lot easier because you can delegate that, and that's another key important skill of being a good leader. So, lastly, the other key area I always think when we're trying to get more out of our people is put your money where your mouth is. If you want your people to work harder, produce more, make more calls, build more, whatever it is that they're expected to do, and you're hoping to get more of that, well, you have to step up as well, okay? Not just the potential for getting more, but actual hard dollars. If you expect them to go the extra mile, work 110%, well, then maybe you need to go a little bit more and give them 110% of their salary. So that's it. Hopefully you found that interesting. Please follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I got the links below. Also loading my podcast up on Anchor, which gets put out to iTunes and a few other spots. And you can also find all my videos on my YouTube channel. Take care, everybody.